So the big part of this is to engage high school students. And we want to have a meeting for 20 somethings, but I'm not going to call it a meeting because they won't come to a meeting, right? So when
We're gonna have coffee at Meridian.
that's it. Listen, it's going to be a gathering, and I'm not going to pick it starts at 10. Like, what is that? But it's one of those things in the same way that I wanted to choose Jimmy's Egg because there are no stairs, there's just a ramp.
Mm-hmm.
For that particular audience. Mm-hmm. I want the 20 somethings to, and I've reached out to a few of them. There are 2 in Leadership Duncan this year. I said, mm-hmm. Hey, I just turned 47. The 47-year-old's not planning the gatherings for the 20 somethings, right? But I'm for sure going to be there.
Yeah.
And I think every opportunity we can have to have conversations instead of debates. That is going to fundamentally be one of the main differences. And it's partially because I've lived here for 8 years before taking this position. Mm-hmm. And so I know everything about it, and I know 8 years is nothing compared to how long other people have lived here. I'm not trying to compete with that. I'm saying I'm not new and I'm for you.
Right. So I a couple of things. I kind of like to say, people say, well, is it going to be either or? Right. And I like to say, well, how about both and? It's not going to be that to me, this is what it sounds like you're saying, and okay. You can come back and if I'm saying something wrong, but it sounds like you want to get the information, all the information from all the people who want to be a part of this.
Right.
And be able to include as many people, I think, are going to find that they really want the same things. Right. And they're just, because of isolation for whatever reason, they're not aware of that.
Right.
The other thing that I see is that this program has the opportunity to, instead of the same people serving on multiple boards, there are people who live in our community who have so much to give to an organization that has a board, is run by a board, yeah. And they just don't know, what does that mean? What does that mean to sit on a board for an organization? Well, wait a minute, I have ideas.
Right.
I can give input on that. I just feel like nonprofits will really end up being the beneficiaries of this, because we're going to become more aware of many more people in our community who have the skills, who have the experiences, and who have the desire to serve. They just hadn't found that niche for themselves.
I completely agree with that. And to your point, if I'm someone who's never been asked to be on a board, but I think I've got some things to offer, where's the line to become a member of a board of a nonprofit in Stevens County? Mm-hmm. Well, there's not one. Mm-hmm. And so if there's not a pool for me to throw my hat in the ring, or there's not like a LinkedIn for board members of nonprofits or whatever, then to your point, I may have these great ideas, but I'm not going to impose those on people. And so if I wait until I get included or invited, mm-hmm. but the phone doesn't ring, then instead of me being really proud of some of those ideas and those gifts and those talents that I can bring, I may start questioning those and say, well, gosh, maybe they don't fit here. Maybe I don't fit here. Mm-hmm. And that's the worst case scenario, mm-hmm. which is why I want to have conversations. And I've had conversations just one-on-one. I've had conversations with small groups, had conversations with dozens, and eventually I want to have conversations with hundreds and thousands. We've got over 24,000 people in Duncan, mm-hmm. which is great. Period. Full stop. Right. It's not, well, there's too many of this, there's not enough of that. It's none of that. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we're going to do differently than how it's been done before, mm-hmm. is we're for sure going to have a presence on social media, but I'm not mudslinging on social media. Mm-hmm. I've already had the opportunity, I'll say it that way. I've already had the opportunity to delete a couple of negative comments. And then I followed that up with a message to the person that said, hey, I'd love to have a conversation with you. This is not how we're going to do it. So the way that we're going to do it is just like starting a business. We're going to have an email list and we'll have notes about what has gone on, what's coming, and what's next. And we're going to do that both in English and in Spanish, because when we don't do it in Spanish, we're leaving out 17% of our population and saying, we're for you. We want you to be involved. But you'll never know it because we're not communicating it in literally the language you speak. So for me, that's a huge thing that we're going to do. The next right step for us is to have another day like we did on Tuesday. And now that people have seen a little bit, it's really an orientation conversation. And I completely prescribe to the yes and method. It's not either or, it's both and, absolutely. So when people have questions, I want you to ask the questions. How I do in my business, when people have specific questions, we answer the specific questions. And the best way to do that is on a YouTube video for me, because this is the question. How do I get involved with this as a nonprofit? Love that question. So I'm going to take that question. I'm going to shoot the video with the camera, and I'll say, I'll answer the question, and then I'll post it on YouTube, and then we'll send it out. Because what I learned in elementary school, and anyone who's ever been in school, it's like, sometimes I have a question, but I'm not going to ask it. But if somebody else will ask it, then, oh, my question gets answered too. So we're going to take the questions and the answers and put handles on them. So when someone says, well, I got a question, what's all this? What's this Duncan Heart and Soul thing all about? Is that a Jesus thing? Is that love the Lord your God with all your Duncan heart and soul? Like, what is that all about? Then we can, whoever that is, when someone asks you that question, you don't have to defend me. You can just say, oh, well, I know this is the answer that Mike gives for that. And then you can just send it to them. And that's the way, I mean, it's the way that you grow a YouTube channel, but really it's also the way for me to help people get the information that they need. When they ask a specific question, I'm going to answer a specific question. The exact specific question that I got yesterday was, are we going to do this every Tuesday? And the answer to that specific question is no. Period. But we are going to do it again. And it's going to be this day. Now, does it make sense over the next 3 to 5 years to have the orientation meeting multiple times so people can, get in where you fit in? They say, oh, maybe it's March of 2024. Oh, I just now heard about this. I don't know where I've been, but where do I get started? Okay, well, at that point, there'll be more messengers carrying the message out than just me and our 14 members, right? But at that point, I also think it's really valuable to have an onboarding training. Say this is the Cliff Notes version. This is what it is. This is what we're doing. Now I want to go to YouTube, watch all this content you want. The truth is, before I was hired to be the project coordinator, I probably watched 50 hours worth of videos on YouTube from Community Heart and Soul because I wanted to know what it was that I was getting into. And the more I got into it, the more I thought, wow, this is really, really a cool thing. And I could see how we could do this here and how we could do, oh, this would be great addition for, our business community on the north side of town. Oh, this would be great to bring in DATIF and have their input. Oh, this over here would be fantastic with the chamber. And especially with the chamber's big mantra of advocate, connect, and grow. Well, they're not competing with anyone either. So that's, for me, it's a very much a connecting piece. Like, okay, what's already going really well in our community, and what's something that I love to ask the question, who do you know that I need to know? Because I'm always trying to think, who do I know that needs to be connected with you? And with the trails, you're like, hey, we need volunteers. Okay, fantastic. Who are people who would be great volunteers? People who are retired teachers would be great. Okay, and you would say, oh, we need whatever it is that you would say we would need. I don't mean it's not like, welcome to Chili's, how many in your party? Like, it's not that I have all those answers, but I think the more we're looking for solutions, back to focus on what matters most, and the less we're looking at the problems, then that's what's going to move our community forward.